introduce Mike Hipple. He will be presenting Welcome to AAC Community, and we will get him started.
And welcome to the presentation of AAC Community. My name is Mike Hipple. I am coming to you from Appleton, Wisconsin. I am 20 years old. I have been in community for 17 years. I have amazing families in the AAC community. They have a role in helping the communities I am to. Today's objective is to define AAC the importance of the evaluation of the school role. How many teachers, how many organizational therapists, and my group of professional speech therapists, technology specialists, AAC communicators. Welcome to the alternative communication community. Another alternative communication array is to be anything with spoken words. Typing on a computer, texting, an app for communicating, pictures, communication boards on communication devices.
We hear it now. We were having some problem hearing, it was cutting up, but I think Brian is trying to fix it.
You want us to
So
wait?
hang on hang on 1 second. Brian just got on, so he's gonna try to fix it.
That sounds better. I think we can try and go ahead.
Okay,
Restart?
yep, go ahead.
Restart?
That's up to you.
Restart or just go? Let's go. Restart? Yeah. Oh.
Hi and welcome to the presentation AAC Community. My name is Mike Hipple. I am coming to you from Appleton, Wisconsin. I am 25 years old. I have been in the AAC community for 17 years. I have met many amazing families and people in the AAC community. They had a role in helping me become the communicator that I am today. Today's objectives are defining AAC, identifying AAC community, and why its support is important, the importance of the evaluation and the school's role. How many of you are teachers? How many of you are occupational therapists, physical therapists, aides, and my favorite group of professional speech therapists and assistive technology specialists? Do we have any family members? Do we have any AAC communicators? Congratulations, you picked the right presentation and welcome to the Augmentative Alternative Communication community. Augmentative Alternative Communication, or AAC, can be anything to take the place of spoken words. It includes notes, typing on a computer, texting, an app for communicating, pictures, communication boards and communication devices. I have a story about my AAC community. It was 2007. My grandma read a story in the Milwaukee Journal newspaper about a camp for people who use a communication device. At that time, I was the only one at my school who used a device to talk. Our family did not know anyone who used the communication device. I was using 1 to 3 words in a sentence. I felt so lonely being the only one in the school who needed to use a device, and remember, we are talking about the early 2000s. The devices were big and ugly looking. I needed a lot of help, and I loved to yell ketchup, ketchup, mustard, mustard any time in class. Was I popular with my teacher and my friends? No way, they didn't like it. I was on my way to camp. I remember thinking and wondering if this John, the camp director, or campers would be using a device. To make a long story quick, they were all using a communication device. Imagine our delight seeing 17 AAC communicators. At the time, I did not know what role they would play in my life. We were at different skill levels, but developed a deep connection as AAC communicators. They are still some of my best friends today, and they will be for years to come. That week at camp, I felt excited and brave, because I finally found people like me. Camp was the first time my parents saw adults who were communicating through AAC. My parents still talk about that day because it gave them hope for my future. As we look back, that was the start of my AAC community. So what is an AAC community? It is people that care about your past, present, and future AAC journey. I want to take that down to an individual level for you. It is anyone that takes an active role in developing the communicator's AAC skills, supporting them and their family on their AAC journey. They value all communication attempts. They include communicators in the conversations. There are 4 AAC communities: a local, state, national, and international. When you think about the communicator's local community, who is the first person that comes into your mind? We think about a speech therapist first, because we believe that speech therapists know everything about AAC. Well, that is false. In fact, a speech therapist student can go through their schooling without taking a class on AAC. I know that sounds crazy to you, but it is sadly true. Okay, how about special education teachers? Do you think they get any classes on AAC? No way. When assistive technology was new, they got classes and had programs on assistive technology for teachers to take, but not anymore. Okay, how about occupational therapy and physical therapy students? Of course, no. Some of my dearest friends are physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, and special education teachers, so please do not think that I am talking bad about them. My point is they learned on the job and from others. Professionals are all in the AAC communicator's local community, but the most important members are the family members. Family is key on their team and in their AAC community. Siblings are so important and will be the communicator's longest communication partner. One of my mentors, Kelly Fonner, had a sister-in-law who was nonverbal. Kelly was already working with families who use AAC before she was married. Her sister-in-law helped her see things from a family's perspective. I can too see things from family and communicators' perspective. We can understand what the family is going through. Siblings need to be actively involved as they may have a bigger role in the communicator's life in the future. Classmates and friends are part of the communicator's local community. You might have friends whose child is using AAC. Guess what? They are your local AAC community, along with your local autism, Down syndrome, ALS, and cerebral palsy chapter, teachers, speech therapist, occupational therapist, physical therapist, and family. I love parent support groups as a starting place to build up your AAC community. An important thing about why you need to have a local AAC community is you will need to ask questions like, where should we go for an AAC evaluation? Or who are your go-to people to answer a quick question? You want to build up your local community to get the support you need, because you can just call or text that parent. I talk to my local AAC community to get support and to be available for their questions. I shared how alone I felt when I began my AAC journey, so remember to include the AAC communicators at different levels, so they have peers and role models. Let's move on to your next community, state community. Your state community is full of the people that you met at camps, conferences, and disability events. Over time, my state and local AAC communities have helped and still help me by referring new families for me to meet, sharing information, and networking. The state community does include organizations like Wisconsin AAC Network and WisconSIBS. Check with hospitals and universities to see what they have available. UW-Madison, the Weissman Center, has a new educational program for all stakeholders called Extension for Community Healthcare Outcomes. If you have any questions about this, please email my great friends at the email address on the bottom. Now you might be thinking, why do I need to have a national and international community too? I thought that too for the longest time until I needed some help from people outside of my state. I was wrong thinking I just needed my local and state community, because a national community would have been a big help. I go to national conferences every year. One of my favorites in the Midwest is Closing the Gap. I learn about what is going on in other states. I am in amazement how many parents come to this conference. I think they hit 40 families last year. Conferences have great presentations where parents can learn and better advocate for their children. They have a vendor hall with hundreds of AAC companies. If you live down south, there is a conference in Florida called ATTI. If you live down south, there is a conference in Florida called ATTI. I have not been there, but hear families go to that one too. The conference is a great way to build up national community. Who is on Facebook? It is a great way to connect on a national level. My favorite thing about Facebook is they have excellent groups about AAC, special education, and anything you want to learn about. I am in 6 groups for AAC. I learn a lot from groups such as reading. A friend and I were in a study group to teach reading to people who are using a device. It was the best because if we had questions about the chapter, we could ask the group. United States Society of AAC can be part of your national community. I learned about United States Society of Augmentative Alternative Communication, known as AAC for short. I was at Authentic Voices of America, the camp I talked about earlier. The speech therapist showed us their website. AAC was advocating a letter campaign opposing some rule changes from Medicare. We all wrote letters and she sent them in. I came home and spent more time on their website. I joined and have been an active member since. I got my family to join too. Being a part of AAC has helped me grow my knowledge and my national AAC community. It also brought great friendships for my mom and I. We enjoy their great webinars. I also learned about International Society of Augmentative Alternative Communication, known as AAC. When you join AAC, you also get a membership to AAC. In 2016, I convinced my parents we should go to AAC convention that was being held in Toronto. I showed how close it was to Wisconsin. I could be very charming, so I got to go. AAC publishes a well-respected journal. Man, it was an amazing week of learning and meeting AAC leaders from around the world. AAC president and 4 of their other leaders spoke at the United Nations last October for AAC Awareness Month. Now I need to start convincing them that we should go to 2022 AAC convention. So no matter if you are a professional, AAC communicator, or a family, please take the time to build your 4 communities. Now you know what AAC is, who is in the communities, and how communities benefit you. It is time for an evaluation for AAC, but where do you go? This is when you will appreciate your local and state communities. We have some great places to go in our country, and they know what they are doing. Hospitals do AAC, and a lot of great speech therapists have private practices that do evaluations. If you are looking for a place, please email me. I will try to find one. Some school speech therapists can do an evaluation, but they need to have the right credentials. Many school speech therapists do not feel confident doing one by themselves. What do you want to go into an AAC evaluation? I believe that we need to think more about sensory things first, like is this app or device right for their sensory needs? Do we need anything special for their vision or hearing, motor skills, cultural needs? What are the communicators and families' goals? Was the program tested out with the child and their family for at least 2 to 6 weeks before a program or device is purchased? I love the work of Joy Zabala of the SET program. If you don't know what her evaluation program is, please Google her, and if you are at a conference where she is doing a workshop on her program, please go to it. My friends and I have been seeing families and agencies just buy or write a grant for a communication app and hope that it will work. This is like buying a vehicle without a test drive. How many people do that? We need to do an evaluation before buying any communication app or device. Now, I would like to talk about what school should be doing for AAC communicators and how school can support their therapists. I believe AAC should be a part of all goals. You need to educate the family about our communities and show them the benefits of being a part of our AAC community. Another goal is establishing support communities for families and communicators so they have that support in and out of school. The last 13 years, the state of Wisconsin was hurting in supporting everyone with assistive technology and AAC in schools and at home, but a group of us changed that. We are trying to bring back the knowledge of AAC and assistive technology to school professionals by doing Wisconsin Assistive Technology regional networks that meet quarterly. We have 8 groups now. It is open to anyone that works in Wisconsin schools. We have teachers, occupational therapists, a lot of speech therapists, and aides come. The best part of this is it is free to them. The network, or return schedules, are posted on our website. I am very lucky to live in Wisconsin. The state education program is very interested in AAC and assistive technology. Our DPI started a webinar program on assistive technology and AAC this year. It is free too. DPI just made a lot of changes to their assistive technology page, and that page is 100% better. Most of you don't live in Wisconsin. I challenge everyone to connect with your state education office to see what they are doing in assistive technology and AAC area. Tell them what would be helpful. That is how we got started working with our state education office, and now we are working together on return and other projects. Wisconsin AAC Network is always watching out for Wisconsin stakeholders. Some school districts have an assistive technology team. Please use them to help with your assistive technology needs and wants. Parents, ask your school if they have an assistive technology team to help with your child's AAC, access, mobility, and AT needs. Back to AAC support. How many of you know about the Communication Bills of Rights for AAC? The document is key to everyone in the community, especially our young communicators, because they need to know that they have rights too. Rights are a great support because gives all a starting point. I worked with a family who had printed out Bill of Rights every in their home and at their child's school too. They did this for two reasons. First, they wanted their child to know that they have rights as a communicator, and the second reason is they want the professionals that work with them to know that their child have rights too. An important note about the Communication Bills of Rights is every AAC organization signs on to it saying, yes, our members will follow this document. So every speech therapist in ASHA, which is their licensing organization, agrees to their bylaws that says, I will follow Communication Bill of Rights. Same goes for United States Society of AAC, where members are asked to abide by the Bill of Rights. I think it is cool to have the Communication Bill of Rights and bylaws in organizations because that means we all have one document that our society agrees on. If you ever sat in on a state council, you know how hard it is to get everyone to agree or just pass something through. I defined the AAC communities and talked about how they can help you. Why should you care about this type of support for your students or your own communicator? Because studies show that the percent of adults who are not using their device as much as when they were in school is high. I think we all need to do a better job letting families know about organizations and community groups, because if we don't, in 5 to 10 years after they are finished with school, that device will be in their bedroom closet. This topic is so important to me. I hope to do some more work on this. My success came after I found my AAC community. My name. I know my family is glad I moved on from ketchup, mustard. If we don't share what AAC is and what it makes possible with anyone and everyone, a future communicator may stay silent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are you done, Mike?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we want to say thanks, Mike, again for this presentation and for the discussion. Hopefully it's been useful for everybody to be able to hear.
Are you finished, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, he says he's done. Thanks everybody for coming to this session. If you have questions, feel free to post them in the Slack. And we look forward to some more great sessions coming up soon.